You're listening to another ASCI Lounge podcast.
Welcome back to the ASCI Lounge. I'm Monique Fenech, Australasian Supply Chain Institute, and today on the lounge we have with us Ivan Imparato, CEO of ASCI, and Pieter Nagel, Head of Professionalisation for ASCI. Welcome, both Ivan and Pieter.
Thank you. Welcome,
Thank
Monique,
you.
and hi, Pete. How are you?
Thanks, Ivan. Good. How are you guys?
Well, welcome to the lounge. You comfortable? I'm not gonna be tough on you today. I just got a few questions on professionalisation, but I suppose before we do that, Monique, just let me welcome back a couple of our corporate members to the team.
Sure.
Philip Morris and Legentia just renewed with us, so welcome back. I'd love to have you on board again for another year. It's been a busy week, I think, for all of us, but we can explain a bit more about what some of the things we're doing a bit later. But today's all about accreditation, and that's why we've got Pieter on the lounge. So, Pete, I'm not going to be tough. I'm just going to ask you three simple questions. So, if that's okay with you. The first one, I suppose, is, today's age of disruption in supply chain, which, we all know, technology going so quickly and businesses trying to keep up. Why do you think accreditation is important for an individual or an organisation or the industry as a whole, do you think?
Well, I think the first response is that professional and practitioner accreditation sets a standard for the industry. Let's just put it into context. Today, there's very few professions that you can enter into that doesn't have some form of accreditation. I mean, in the professional world, you have doctors and lawyers and engineers that are registered. But then in the whole other world, you got financial advisors. You can't even sell a house if you're not a registered real estate agent. There's registration for all sorts of things. You have some trades associations that provides accreditation for tradespeople before they can actually trade in that area. So the point is that is the standard to prove and to provide a base for the industry, and we didn't have such a base at all. So that's why the accreditation is important for us. Yeah,
so it's credibility more and recognition, pretty much, is it?
Yeah, it's the fact that accreditation and the registration against that scheme will provide the professional with some form of recognition of his or her competence, and their commitment to certain set of standards, and that's part of the registration process. Is to commit to those standards, to commit to an ethics management process, and to commit to the ongoing maintenance of that standard.
Yeah, mate. It's pretty simple. It sounds, but it's not that easy, I suppose. So the second question, Peter, is something that's probably been a bit of confusion out there when we talk about industry peak body like ourselves, being ASCI, or anyone else out there, and also the difference between that and a professional body. Well, so there is a difference.
There's a big difference.
Maybe you can explain. Yeah, maybe you could explain it in some key points so that we can get a clear understanding of the differences.
Well, first of all, an industry peak body has no membership requirements. Anybody can join if they work in the industry, or for that matter, anybody. I can join anything. There's no real membership requirements. There's no formal recognition and acknowledgement of competence. Big bodies build their whole engagement with their members through networking events, site visits, those type of exposure to that particular industry. And they sometimes, some of them offer certificates, which is sometimes confused with education. But that's a certification process. The professional accreditation body, on the other hand, have very strict membership guidelines and requirements. You have to comply with the registration requirements. You have to be registered against whichever framework, and we have our framework, but in any of these accreditation bodies, you have to be eligible and register, then you have to commit to a certain set of standards through the period of registration. That's the key thing, and it's providing accreditation and not certification. So it's not providing courses and seminars and stuff and say you study this, you write an exam, and you come out the other end with a piece of paper. This is an industry-wide, career-wide acknowledgement and assessment of your ability and your commitment to the industry.
Yeah, so it's a much bigger scope, if I can put it that way, Peter, because as you said, it's all about that recognition, that commitment.
Yeah, typically accreditation bodies don't have just individual members. They have registrants. And the registrants have got strict membership or registration criteria. And peak bodies would typically affiliate with professional accreditation bodies. That's how it works in all the industries. Peak bodies stand alone, and they is serving the general public, so to speak, in that domain. And they have all their various focus areas, procurement like CIPSA, for example, or transport and logistics like CILTA, and so on. And they affiliate with a central accreditation body, and they all adhere to the same standard. That's the only way that you're going to get the accreditation accepted in industry, because then there's industry recognition of the standard rather than one organization's recognition.
Yeah, and that's perfectly, I suppose, entering to the last question, Peter, because, ASCI is quite passionate about our strategy in, facilitating the journey towards accreditation for the industry. And I know we've been working on it and been putting together some frameworks to allow us to get there. Just a couple of activities I know that you're working on with us on getting there, and just explain, some of the things that we're doing. And you said working with associations. I think that's the critical component, isn't it? To make sure.
Yeah, the associations is critical, and I'm in communication with a number of these associations or peak bodies, as I prefer to call them. And I think there's a keen interest in some form of association. I wouldn't call that affiliation at the moment. Some form of association with the scheme. Affiliation with ASCI or with the professional accreditation component, then, if you will allow those peak bodies to have a position on the 3 professionalization committees.
Yeah.
We have an ethics committee, a risk committee, and a technical committee, and those people will have access there. For example, if a CILTA or a CIPSA would affiliate with us, they have certain documentation on, or a body of knowledge on terminology, etc. We'll be happy to bring that in and incorporate in the overall body of knowledge that we have and that we're working on. If they want to sit on the ethics committee, they will have part of the management of the ethics process. So I think there's a incentive for those organizations to actually buy into the accreditation process.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right.
There are some obstacles as well. Let's be just real about it. There are some obstacles as well. It's not as simple as just joining up.
Of course.
There is an opportunity for associations and peak bodies to affiliate with ASCI professional accreditation in a way that everybody can have sitting on the same committees, and maybe, and I may speak out of place here now, but maybe even have a seat on the board so that they can be part of directing the professional initiative in the industry.
No, that makes total sense. I think you're right. And I think there are challenges, but I think we're ready to take them on face and continue. So thanks, Pete. It's been really it's really good to have you on the lounge, and I think you've made it a little bit more clearer, I think, for everyone, I hope. So Monique, on that, what Pete just said yesterday, we had the procurement roundtables series that commenced in July.
Yeah, that's right.
And Brisbane yesterday was.
Brisbane, yeah, that's right. So we're trying to raise awareness that procurement is very much a part of the end-to-end supply chain offering that we have at ASCI, and that procurement practitioners can also take the registration path through the registered practitioner in procurement. And the conference that's coming up has a procurement stream, and there's also a procurement award category in our awards ceremony that we're running in September. So there's plenty of opportunity for procurement managers. And how was the roundtable discussion yesterday?
It was fantastic, actually. The reason it was quite well received is because I think everybody just got in tables and have been able to share their experiences about the challenges that procurement face, mainly in the ethical arena with modern slavery. And we spoke about also, that was the main topic of discussion, to be honest. There was a lot of passion in the room, a lot of discussion. And I've been able to facilitate it in a way that we have been able to drag out some of the key challenges and the opportunities that people face. And putting them on a whiteboard made it quite visual to everyone to then understand that as we're in a mini industry body yesterday, if you see it that way, together in a room. There was about 30 people. And on the whiteboard, we sort of put a framework that I think people were quite comfortable in taking that back into their workplace. So very enjoyable. Modern slavery, as I said, was the first topic. The other one I think was a key one for the group was technology. How does technology impact the procurement value, that offering to the industry? And the other one was supplier relationship management. How do you approach your suppliers? How do you engage with them? What's the framework? What are the challenges? No, it's really, really interesting. Enjoyed it immensely, and I think everyone got a lot out of it. So Sydney is on next week on the Tuesday, and we have MD Maruf Hussain Chaduri, I think, one of the lecturers out of UTS, will be moderating the day next week, and in Melbourne is on the 24th as well. So I think we've got a few numbers piling up for both, Monique. Is that right?
Yeah, it's really successful, and I'm really happy to say that a lot of corporate members are sending along their procurement managers, which for the first time we've been able to engage. So really excited to see them and meet them in the context of their corporate membership.
And actually what Pieter said earlier about talking to the peak bodies like CIPSA and SILTA, there are a few CIPSA representatives there who are quite engaging and understood the professionalisation journey that we're on. So I think they're getting to understand it, and I think there is a very strong opportunity, as Pieter was saying, about affiliating or collaborating together towards that one journey of accreditation. So really exciting. I could talk for another hour, but I can't. So I'll hand it back to you, Mon, and just some other things that are happening.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Ivan, for joining us, and Pieter for joining us today on the ASCI Lounge. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Members, this is an extremely important week because it's the deadline for both the early bird pricing for the ASCI 2019 conference. Head over to asci2019.com. The theme of our two-day conference in Melbourne, 17 to the 19th of September, is Unleashing Human Excellence to Deliver Value Across the Supply Chain. We're all about value. And so head over to save some money and book your tickets early for that before Friday. Also, before Friday is the nominations required for our ASCI 2019 awards, which will also be presented at a cocktail function there in Melbourne at our conference. Don't miss being a part of that fabulous opportunity to celebrate excellence in supply chain management. Thanks for joining us, and bye for now.